Hello there. Allow me to tell you a few things about childhood. You see, childhood is a priceless stage in life filled with exploring, discovering, experimenting, and playing. In childhood, children learn the norms of the world. They pick up language from various sources around them. They begin to understand what things in their environment represent, all the while laughing, crying, and growing up. Would you like to go back to your childhood? I would love to. Did you know Freud, the father of psychology, believed childhood experiences would have a great influence in the development of personality and appropriate behaviors as children grew up? Erikson, another prominent developmental psychologist, in his psychosocial developmental theory, tells us that between the ages of 2 to 5 years, the child strives to be independent, slowly beginning to make small choices. Children also learn to take pride in their accomplishments as they assert their power and control over their immediate environment. The stages of autonomy versus shame, doubt, and initiative versus guilt can really shape a lot of factors in a child's upbringing.
It warms my heart to see children playing like this. Somewhere down the line, we all had similar experiences, isn't it? However, stories for today's children has definitely changed.
To the news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced a total nationwide lockdown.
Some breaking news just coming in. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has hinted at complete lockdown in the state.
Let us see how current situation has affected our toddlers, and who better to tell us than parents themselves.
Her screen time has drastically increased. She gets angry easily on the smallest of the things.
They are confined in four walls of the house most of the time. This will make anybody cranky, and they are just little kids. To overcome their boredom, they turn to mobiles, tabs, television, and even schools and classes are virtual. This has led to more screen time.
There have been more episodes of bad temper, tantrums, and the breakdowns for both the kids as well as the parent.
His screen time viewing, that is his time he spends with his mobile phone, has drastically increased. And earlier, as I used to take him to the park to play. Now because of the pandemic, I'm not able to do so, and I don't take him around. So literally he has become very stubborn, and this has affected me a lot, as it makes me very stressful and irritable.
I have seen behavioral changes with my 5-year-old son. Like, he has been more irritable and impatient. Screen time has increased.
To better understand the effect of this pandemic on children, we came up with a survey which we circulated to around parents. Please note that the questions in this survey are not in order, as only the questions that were deemed required have been included here. In the first question, we asked the parents how this lockdown has affected the child, and majority of the parents reported saying that their child's social life has reduced, with others saying that the child spends most of their time using gadgets. There are a few parents who have reported that their child is feeling lonely, the child is developing more aggressive behaviors, the child is having low mood, and there is increase in tantrums in the child. In the next question, we ask the parents if any of the behaviors are bringing about conflicts between them and their children. As you can see, majority of the parents reported that the use of electronic gadgets is creating a lot of problems between them and their children. A few parents also reported that their child's overall behavior is causing them issues, while others have reported feeding their children and bedtime and homework are causing issues between parents and their children. In the next question, we asked the parents to rate their child's behavior before the pandemic began. As you can see from the graph here, majority of the scores are on the left side of the graph, meaning the behavior of the children was not that bad. But when we asked the parents to give a rating of the behavior after the pandemic began, as you can see, the scores have shifted to the right side of the graph, meaning the children's behaviors actually worsened. as the pandemic began. Now, we asked the parent how much of this worsening of behavior of their children is affecting them. And as you can see here, the highest scores are is in the middle of the graph. So the highest score given was 5 by the parents, meaning some parents were actually affected by their children's behavior at times and not at other times. But there are quite a few parents who have given a rating of 8 as well. Next, we asked the parents that during this pandemic, how has the social skills of their child worsened? And majority of the parents have said that their child is now shying away from communication. Other responses include decrease in physical activities. Some parents are saying that their child are showing language delays or they're unable to speak as per their age. Parents are also saying there is a decrease in vocabulary in the child. Finally, we asked the parents to give a rating of how lonely their child is feeling. And as you can see here, majority of the parents mentions that their child is feeling very lonely as they've given a rating of 6, while some of them have even given a rating of 10. So to summarize, we've seen that the child's behavior has actually worsened since the pandemic has begun. There's the reduction of social skills and parents are also having problems due to this worsening of behavior.
Was the general public aware of how pandemic has impacted the growth of our children? Let's find out.
Another survey was done to find out if the general public are aware of this pandemic affecting children. The first question we asked was whether the public was aware if their children were being affected by the pandemic. And as you can see, majority have reported yes, but we believe that this is because majority of these people who answered the survey were parents and they already know that their children are being affected. But there is quite a number of people, that is 11.8%, who have also said no. In fact, even more have said no, as you can see in the graph. So we are sure that there are people who are still unaware of how this pandemic is affecting children. The next question was quite similar to the first one, where we asked if the people know that if the pandemic is affecting children in any way possible. And again, majority of them have said yes, but there are quite a few number of people who are unsure if this pandemic is affecting children or not, and there are quite a number of people who have also said no. So to summarize, we can see that even though there are people who have said yes, but these can also be parents as they are already aware of the deterioration in their behavior and social life of their children. There are people in the general public who are not unaware or are unsure of how this pandemic has affected children or not.
You saw it yourself. There are people who are not aware of what the future generation of our country are currently going through. Human beings are social animals. At preschool age, it is a developmental need of a child to grow, explore, interact and connect with the outside world. Little highs, little buys, sharing. This is the age when they actually learn to socialize. However, with today's circumstances, the opportunities are limited. Worry not, for we the students of Rajani Biradar have come up with few ways to, by which you can bond better with your child and grow with this process. Remember, we need to maintain physical distance but not the emotional one. Let your tiny tots not be the victims of the current circumstances. Let them be the survivors. You know what? Rather than focusing on what we can't do, let's focus on what we can do. Explore, be creative, be innovative, find different ways, find out what works for you and your child and do more of it. So here we go.
Parents, please remember, do not judge yourself and your child. Try to understand them, communicate them every day in a healthy way. Just remember, the pandemic is new to them as well. So be mindful about your child's behavior and emotions and your own behavior and emotions towards. The best way to bond with your child is to involve them in your day-to-day activities. Simple activities which you can do with your child include watering plants, cleaning and so on. The easiest way to teach a child social manner is to include a ritual of greeting everyone and encourage your child to talk to familiar people from a safe distance. Give your child a sense of purpose and make them feel needed. Helping in activities helps in proper body growth, better motor coordination, and skill development, and interactions will help them build on their social skills. Help your child learn proper time management skills by establishing a routine with them. A routine can include playtime and study time. This is a suggestion for all parents. Come up with a routine with your children to decrease the exposure to videos when learning. You can just use audio sometimes. If your child is showing signs of unhappiness, then try to mend the routine to see where you can get better results.
Things you can try to do is learn something new with your children and be supportive of their effort, process, and the overall progress. Teach your children that success isn't necessarily dependent on outcome. Instead, success is willingness to work hard and learn something new and put forth by one's best effort. Now, if your child is going to start their schooling adventurous soon, you need to conduct dress rehearsals so that your child is not nervous to meet his teacher for the first time. You could pretend like to be a teacher and teach them how to greet their teacher and how to build conversations and interactions so that your child is not nervous. A suggestion for you all teachers out there. You could conduct activities with your students which involves their younger siblings, and if the student is a single child, they could approach their neighbor, involve their neighbor, younger children from their neighborhood in safety in mind. You can have a long sing-alongs to bond with your children. This is only if physical play is not possible. Remember, children can learn words from songs. If we want our children to try their best and reach their fullest potential, we must help them in trying something new and get them away from the fear of trying something new.
It is important that you take care of yourself because your physical health, your mental health impacts your child.
The best way to make children good is to make them happy, said by Oscar Wilde.
Nothing you do for your children is ever wasted.
To this world, you are only one person, but for your children, you are the world. And remember, together you both will get through this pandemic.
Lastly, this is what we have to say. Maintain physical distance but not the emotional one.
Remember, maintain physical distance but not the emotional one.
Lastly, this is what we have to say. Maintain physical distance but not emotional one.
Do not forget, maintain the physical distance, but not the emotional one.